No,
Yeah.
but I think there's something, it sounds like what you're doing too is you're rebelling against something.
Yeah.
And you're rebelling against the norm and what everybody else does. And as part of that, you're also throwing away what's good about that, which is stability and predictability and money to pay rent. And so you end up hurting yourself, right? You end up, you know, cutting your nose to spite your face or something, right? You
Yeah.
end up like harming yourself just to avoid being like that. You know what? Maybe we'll just dive straight into the questions actually. And then we can always, I have some things that are top of mind for me, but we can always get into that after. So why don't we do that? Just straight up, let's get your questions. Yeah, Kim, if you can go on and ask your question.
Okay, so I own a yoga studio in Seattle that's called Inside Out Yoga, and I registered my name in 2000. And this year when I went to renew my LLC, there's a new studio that opened in Seattle that named itself, my studio is called Inside Out Yoga, and she named her studio Inside Out Pilates and Yoga. And so I talked to an attorney, but it's quite a expensive process. So I tried to address it myself. I sent her a letter, and she did call. So I'm just wondering if you have any tips for how to handle a call like that.
Did you talk to her yet or no?
I haven't talked to her yet. I just wanted to be a little prepared. Actually talk to her.
Yeah. I mean, I would just approach it in a friendly way. So she didn't register a trademark or anything.
No,
Oh.
you can't register Inside Out because of Disney has Inside Out
Got it.
up. So
Yeah.
yeah. So no, she doesn't have it registered as a trademark.
And you don't either.
I did what an attorney recommended, where I put a TM after my name, and he said that does is it gives you a local trademark. So
but it's not, yeah. Yeah, I would just approach it in a friendly fashion, right? You don't really have any ammunition in your, like you don't really have any weapons. She can totally have that name if it's not a trademark, as far as I know. And so it's more like, hey, you know, what can we find out here? Is it brand new on her part?
yeah, June she's put an announcement that she's opening a studio.
Got it. Yeah. It's like, so are you prepared to put some money at it? Like, hey, here's $5,000 for you to rebrand if you pick another name.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll have to rebrand because it's.
No, I'm saying offering her, right? Because like, if you're saying, because if you don't, so if you have legal grounds to stand on, that's, so I don't, did you check it with your attorney?
Yeah, I do have legal grounds. She's in the wrong. Yeah.
Okay. So let her know about that. And then you're saying it would cost you a lot of money to do the legal.
Yeah, if she just says, I don't care, I'm not going to change my name, then it would have to go to litigation, and they say that would be like $10,000.
Right. So maybe you can just say, hey, I know this sucks. Here's $2,000. I'll pay you $2,000 to go change your name to her. That saves you, $8K and the time and the hassle and all that stuff. She changes her name, and then you're good.
Yeah.
She probably didn't do it intentionally, right? She just wasn't aware.
I'm not sure how she could not be aware. If you Google the name, the first 2 pages are my business. So
well, then you can find out, right? So I just have the conversation, and that would kind of be my backup, is like, hey, just pay her a little bit if she seems innocent enough, right? If she seems abusive and, out to pick a fight and whatnot, I wouldn't, whatever. It's going to be a lot easier and cheaper for you to do that than to go into litigation. It's just a shit show to do that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
That would be my take. Yeah. Yeah. I was in a similar situation years ago on the opposite side of things. I had Simplero was originally Zen Billing, and then I registered the trademark, and then Zendesk came after me for that name because they had the trademark for Zendesk, and so they figured that Zen Billing was like too close to Zendesk, even though we're like doing completely different things. And for me, it was it didn't like I wasn't in the wrong, but I was also they had VC funding and lots of money, and so they just sent me threatening legal letters. And for me, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna rebrand and come up with a different name. But had they offered me, here's $5,000, $10,000, whatever, go, like, would you mind go changing your name? I would have totally taken that. In this case, they didn't have to pay me. They just paid their lawyers instead, which I guess, that's what they chose to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, cool. Other questions? What are you, so we heard, was that was you, Kim, talking about the lead magnet, trust fund, all that stuff, right? I think. Yeah, cool. There are other options in the chat that you can see. Cool. So what else do you guys have going on? Like, let us know in the chat, like, what are you struggling with? What can we help with? We're really just here to answer your questions, to help you get unstuck wherever you're stuck. And I see we've got Katrina, so I'm going to bring Katrina on. In the meantime, everybody else, think of like, what is the thing that's most pressing for you right now? A friend of mine once said this: what's the question that, if I knew the answer to this question, I would gladly pay $100,000 to know the answer to this question, because it would help me so much, right? The value of the answer to this question is so high that I'd pay a lot of money for it. What is that question? Finding the right questions is such a big part of the challenge of entrepreneurship, the challenge of life, is just really knowing what to ask. So think about that while I talk to Katrina here. So let's go. What you got? What can I help you with?
Well, as I put in the chat, I'm looking for a new community, an international community. I've had Danish communities for accountability and helping each other and having people review your landing pages and so on, but as a user, not as not as a marketing guru or whatever, but simply to see, do you understand what I'm writing? Last time we were talking about this, making everything simple, keeping it simple. And I really, really tend to complicate things because I have so much on my mind, and then a lot of words. so how much can I?
Only one.
I know. So I thought that maybe if other people maybe in this group right now, or in our Facebook group, if we could, a possibility to reach out and say, hey, anyone else who wants to have their things reviewed, because it's this balance between of not doing self-promotion, but you really need to have people look at it that don't know you. That's where I get stuck at the moment. It's people.
Yeah.
So
what's your
what could we do? What could we do?
I think you just said it. Like, you're raising your hand here. Anybody can reach out to you. You can drop your email in the chat and people can find you. And then, the Simplero Facebook group, any other online community that you're part of, like, grab people. It's helpful usually to get people specifically. If you just post, that's going to get fewer people than if you select some people that you think are going to be a good fit and you reach out, hey, would you be interested in forming a little, impromptu mastermind group like situation, like a lot of people want to be part of a little group of peers, right, where you guys support each other. I think that's a fantastic idea. I think you should just do it.
All right, I'll see, and if I'll put my email here in the chat, and then anyone who wants to connect, let's do that, and I'll make a post in our Facebook group too about what we talked about. Is that a deal?
Yeah, I think so.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Stuff is not complicated. There are 100% people out there that want the same thing.
Yeah.
Want to help. Yeah.
Thank you. That's all for now.
All right, good. Cool. What else? I see a bunch more people here on this call. There has to be more questions.
Rolanda's got her hand up.
Oh, who does?
Rolanda.
Okay, I don't see that on my screen for some reason. All right. I see. Let me see here. Oh, it's because I got the non-video participants hidden. Let's hear it for Rolanda. Cool. Let's hear from Rolanda.
Sorry, I was having a little difficulty unmuting.
All right, no problem. You got it done.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. I'm actually new to Simplero. I haven't done it before. I haven't used it. I just transferred over from using everything to putting everything in this one system. My question is, I'm trying to build an evergreen funnel, is what people are calling it, but I basically have a webinar that I want to put a sales funnel to and have it running so that people can join my course anytime and not have to wait for me to do a launch for them to join us. And I'm trying to figure out what Simplero has already that I don't have to subscribe to, so that I can add those other pieces or integrate those other pieces to make this happen.
Sure. Yeah, so the best place to ask questions like that would be the training workshops that we do.
I see.
Yeah. So this is more of like the personal growth side of entrepreneurship, or the strategy, or the marketing, and that kind of stuff. But so it sounds like you're looking for a what's it called? Like one of those like evergreen webinar kind of things.
Right.
So I'm assuming you're not going to be giving the webinar live over and over. You're going to have it pre-recorded.
Right. I do want to, I do webinars occasionally, but I want to also have one that is running so that I can have people join without having to wait for the webinar to go.
Totally. And so, a recorded webinar is just a video, right? At the end of the day, it's just a video. So you can just give people a video, right? That's like, here is the thing. And it happens to be the recording from a webinar you did, but it gives people the training. That's what I would do. There are also tools out there that will let it seem like, oh, this webinar is starting, it's like 15 minutes, sign up for it now. And like, it makes people feel like it's maybe live webinar that just happened to be in 15 minutes, and then they register and then they go through that whole experience. I've never done one of those. It might convert better, but I feel like starting the relationship with a new customer by pretending you're doing something that's not, and like kind of like being a little deceptive is not the best way to build a relationship. So I would just, have the video and post it there on a landing page. And
that's something we can do through Simplero.
100%. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And you can gate it through an email if you want it to. So like, hey, enter your email here and get access to this webinar right now, and then they get that page that has the video on it right there. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
You bet. My pleasure. Anything else around that?
I have a ton of questions. I'm actually new to this entrepreneurial world. I've been in corporate for so long. I know that like the back of my hand, but this part is a little bit challenging for me. So I'm looking forward to hear what other people have to share and to learn from you all.
Thank you. Yeah, it's different, isn't it? What have you been doing in corporate?
In corporate, I was an administrator for education. I used to work with children that had special needs and making sure they had all of their services and resolving issues and conflict that might arise between the parents and the schools.
Got
So
it.
now I actually work more with parents doing the same thing, but
Uh-huh.
with parents versus doing it with the school system.
That's great. And so you were in the private school system since you're saying corporate?
Well, no, it was private. I was in private school. I was working with district level public schools, some charter schools, you name it. I've worked with them. So.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that when you've been doing something for a while and then you see there's a need to help, in this case, the parents with something more in depth. Yeah, 100%.
Right.
So what's your offer? What's your product that you want to sell to the parents?
Well, what I do is I teach all the things that I used to teach to teachers and administrators. I now teach that to parents because I wanted to level the table. I felt like parents were always coming and feeling like they needed more, or they didn't know what they needed. They didn't know what they needed to know. So what I'm doing is sharing with them all the things that I used to share with the teachers and the administrators, and preparing them for those meetings and getting the right services and understanding how to navigate through special education. And when they have a child who's in that K through 12 or pre-K through 12 time in their lives. So that is what I do. And I coach them on that. So once we do our trainings, we have meetings every week where I go over information. I help them prepare their paperwork for their upcoming meetings. And then if need be, I can sit in with them, but I want them to be independent. They want to be independent. So I try not to interfere. I try to help them on the foreground and empower them in that way so that I'm not having to be the voice for them, find their voice.
Totally. That's so awesome. That's so super cool. Yeah. So, and do you have clients already that you're doing this with?
Yes, I have a number of clients who are already signed up, and I have others who want to join, and I'm spending a lot of time getting them to join in with us, right? Because they're thinking they have to either wait until I start another cohort, or they're waiting for me to go back to number one. Well, I'm saying you can join anytime, actually. Doesn't matter what we're talking about, it's all going to be relevant to you at some point. So join now, and then as we go through, I'll just circle back to number one, and then we'll go back through again. So I'm always doing this, and I don't want people to feel like they're having to wait to jump in. And I also would like to free myself up because I'm very hands-on when it comes to the parents. And if I'm spending time responding so often to getting people enrolled and getting people questions, I just want them to be able to watch the webinar to give them information that they're going to need. And then from there, I can they can sign up, and then they can jump in and then go through an orientation that I can set up through Simplero once they join us in, and then they'll just hop right in where we are and pick up from there.
100%. Yeah, you can do all of that. That's fantastic. Okay. Super cool. Well, it sounds like you got things figured out. I would think that like if the pain is clear enough, I don't know what's the price point you're doing.
It depends. If they're wanting just the courses, it's at $9.97. But if they wanted to sit in and get more of the hands-on hand holding, it's $2.97.
Got it. Wait, if they want more, it's less.
I'm sorry, $29.97 to $29.97.
So like $1,000 for just the course, and then $3,000 for the full experience. Yeah. Right. Totally. Yeah. So yeah. Give them the information. The $1,000 should basically, especially if you have a payment plan, so they can break it down in 4, 5, 6 installments, whatever, 10.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
This should be a fairly easy sell. Then once they're in, give them access. You can give them access to recorded versions of all the content. So that answers the objection about like, hey, I want to wait till we're back to module 1. Is basically they can kind of start getting up to speed on that information. And yeah, and then you probably want to get on a sales call with the people who are interested in the 3K version, but as long as they've watched the video and they're qualified, you should be good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, perfect. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right, you bet. Thanks, Rolanda. Thank you so much. Glad to help. Ray, what's up, brother?
Hey, how's it going, everyone? First, I've got one comment and I've got two. One, I just want to throw two quick questions related to courses. One is, I just want to give you all a shout out. Your support team is fantastic. The live ones, I think Rolanda, if you haven't done that yet or anybody else, those are by far some of the best, I think if not probably the best customer support I've seen in any type of sector. So it's just in my short time being on platform. So I thought you want to hear that in person versus then the typical email and stuff.
Love hearing that.
And then also for you as well, being responsive to everyone here in the community. My questions are around the courses. One is, first I'm going to ask the question, but I want to get to the bigger question. One is are there any plans to, with the on-demand, I mean, not the on-demand, but with the app, the Simplero app to run courses on demand off of your phone, where you're not connected. Is there any plans to basically make that a white label product? So it's not showing up as Simplero, but showing up as a company.
I understand. It's definitely something we're considering. It's not something that's actively in the works, but we could do that. Okay.
So the other question was this was actually on the Facebook group probably a couple of weeks ago. The conversation about multiple certificates for attendees. So myself, I'm a licensed athletic trainer and EMT. I see Kathleen here as a physical therapist. I'm not sure what others are, the providers, registered dietitians, physicians, et cetera. I'm going to be rolling out courses fairly soon, either both hybrid and online. And that question, you would ask some questions about that, what that certificate would look like and where that is headed to. I think it's incredibly valuable for a lot of the different, I'm assuming the different
I understand. Yeah.
participants there.
Yeah, I get it. Well, it's definitely happening. I can't say right now about timing of it. But yeah, I'm responsive.
Yeah. It'd be incredibly valuable, I think, for a number of different platforms based on the courses, whether it's in education or especially certifications, for having the same thing like that. I just thought I'd throw that out there. So
yeah. All right. Cool, man. Thanks, Ray.
Great. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Kimberly, what you got?
Hello. So I've been here every week since the first one. And so I just wanted you to sort of see the evolution. I am in bed. I was just stress eating peanut butter cups, working on stuff. And I feel like I go through this cycle. I've gone through it for years now where I have this idea in my head. It's kind of like when I have an idea for a symphony or something like that. I have this idea. I'm a musician, by the way. And so I have this idea of how to do piano lessons differently. So it's a little bit more modernized, right? And so I'll start saying no to everything else in my life. People will be like, oh, do you give piano lessons? And I'm like, no, because I'm doing this thing that I haven't done yet, but I'm doing this thing. And I will do this for months and I'm working on it, but I'm not getting it done. And then it comes to a point, which I'm in right now, where I look at my bank account and I'm like, oh crap, I have to do this or else I have to get a job, I don't want to get a job. I want to work hard, but I want to work hard doing what I love. Right. So this time though, I'm not asking any family and friends for help. I'm not getting a job. So I know what I'm not doing, but I have to start saying yes. And I have to, there's some kind of block that I have. So I guess I'm just asking, do you have any wisdom for me to actually just get this freaking thing going? I mean, I feel like I have to at this point, but it's unfortunate I have to work under such high pressure to get things done.
Yeah, I hear you. So it reminds me, I was in that kind of situation for in 2009, 2010 ish and pre that, where, well, so here's my pattern was I would just financial fires that I needed to fight, so that I was like, okay, busy, I need to get busy on something to make some money. so that I wouldn't go inside and ask myself, what is it I really want? What is it I really want to do, create, become, you know, what am I here to do? Those big questions I was really scared of. And so if there's a financial fire to fight, I ain't got time to look into that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's that resonating for you?
Well, it does resonate. However, I also feel like the fires are happening. Like it's called rent and utilities and.
No, 100%. The fires are real, but you're setting yourself in a situation where you need those fires for some reason. Like, what is that need? You're creating that situation.
I think I'm so afraid that I feel like every path that is sort of like laid by society, like being a piano teacher or being a composer, all these paths that are like set out, if I just follow the path that everyone else has done, I feel like it doesn't lead me to fulfillment, because then I'm burnt out, I'm not doing what I really want. So then it's like, okay, I have to create my own path. But I definitely am so freaking scared. I'm like so afraid that it's going to expose all of my weaknesses, my, you know, learning disabilities. I've struggled with mental illness my entire life. Like, I'm so afraid that if I do this, people are going to like find out my flaws. Like, I'm pretty sure I have ADHD. I've got all these things, these issues.
Got it. And you just told us all about them. So
yeah, and this is like going to be live on all of your podcasts and stuff. So
currently live on all the platforms. So the cat's on the bag. So let's just, you know, let's just let go of that one. No, but I think there's something, it sounds like what you're doing too is you're rebelling against something. And you're rebelling against the norm and what everybody else does. And as part of that, you're also throwing away what's good about that, which is stability and predictability and money to pay rent. And so you end up hurting yourself, right? You end up, you know, cutting your nose to spite your face or something, right? You end up like harming yourself just to avoid being like that. I don't know if there's a parent or someone that is representative of that world and you really don't want to be like, but if there is, make peace with that.
Yeah.
And
I think it's just, for me, it's the whole like it's just my whole journey with music in general, like just the classical musicians being like, you know, putting their nose up at anyone who's actually creating their own music, because wasn't made by Beethoven or whatever. So there was like this snobbery, and so I think I'm rebelling against that. And yeah, I'm just kind of, I know my no's, but I got to start knowing my yeses.
Yeah, and value, like this instinct of yours have brought you to something very beautiful, right? The music that you played for us in the first call and your talents, your abilities, amazing. However, right now that pressure that made you develop that side is actually hurting you.
Yeah.
So it's making peace with all of that and making peace with being an adult who has to do whatever you have to do to pay.
Yeah.
Right. If you have to be a traditional piano teacher, so be it. Like, embrace that stuff. Do what you got to do to pay the rent, create the products, and work on the creative stuff and what you really want and the products. But right now, I think because you're committed to that path of misery to show that you're rebelling or whatever the payoff is for you, then you create the situation where you're never actually doing the thing that you want to do. And then you end up here. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with this idea of maturity. I have, you know, talk about mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual maturity as the 4 areas that we all need to grow up. And we're all like basically children in one or more of these areas in one or more different ways, right? Mentally, emotionally, physically, or spiritually mature. And huge part of life is way past adolescence, continuing to grow up to be a fully mature, healthy adult. Most of us are not.
Yeah. I think I'm in a growth spurt right now.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that you are
A
showing
little
up.
painful, but yeah.
Enjoy the pain. All right.
Thank you, Calvin.
No, I mean, that's really so, because here's the thing, when we go through those periods, it's also it's very raw. Life becomes raw and real, and like in the pain, we feel ourselves, we feel alive. It's so easy to get back into the day-to-day, the rut, like we're just kind of doing all the things. So really savor the pain as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So, well, my pleasure. All right. Very cool. We got Kathleen. Let's hear it.
Hi, how's it going?
Hey, going great. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for creating the space and for the palpable changes that you're trying to make with Simplero to help all of us. I really appreciate it. My question to you is more on just the entrepreneurial growth side of the business. And my team has grown exponentially, all the people involved, and we're trying to figure out the best way to communicate behind the scenes. And so I'm wondering what you guys use as a team to communicate, or ideas that you might have. I mean, Slack is one form of communication, or if there's something in Simplero that's being developed for intercommunication with team, and what advice you might have for me with a team that's, 20 to 30 people right now.
Right. It's about the same size as my team. So yeah, funny you should ask. So we use Slack internally on the team for most of our communication. We also use, iMessage or WhatsApp and that kind of stuff. We've also used an app called Voxer, which I like, especially for you as the CEO, as a leader of the company, being able to, like, we have, with 20, 30 people, we have tons of stuff coming at us throughout the day, right? And so if we're able to very quickly shoot off a voice message to someone on the team with like, hey, that's really powerful, right? It's very fast, much faster than sitting down at the computer and typing or trying to type at the phone and all that stuff. However, getting a voice message back sucks, right? Like, it's just a slow way to parse and process information. And then what's also really frustrating about voice messages, you can't go back. Like, if you're like, what was the thing again? There's no record of it. And so it becomes very slow. So we're using a tool called Voxer for a while, which is sort of the best that I found for it, but it hasn't been maintained for like 10 years and it's not that good. So I plan on building some voice messaging into the app for Simplero with like DM capabilities. So you can DM or have a group chat going on Simplero, send a voice, it'll be transcribed for them as on the receiving end as well. They can speed it up, they can scrub back and forth so they can re-listen without having to listen to the whole thing again, etc. So that's coming. I won't promise anything about when, but 100% I'm going to build that in because I want that. And I've looked high and low. There are no good tools on the market that does this. Voxer comes closest, but it's not great.
Do you use the on Slack? There is a voice. I mean, do you use that at all?
I do use that from time to time. And it's very important to have this rule. And it's been a little contentious with some people, but the rule is I voice you, you don't voice me back. Right. And
I like that rule.
Completely honest about that. That's the rule, guys, right? It's just, it's different. I'm the CEO. I've got all the responsibility, all the things. I'm paying you. This is how it works. And
I love that.
Mean that I don't care about your input or whatever. It's just a method of communication that works better that way. And yeah, it still feels a little awkward for me because I'm very much of a, service-minded leader. I'm here to serve my people. But that's just what works best.
Are you using the free version of Slack, or do you use the version where you have to pay per member? What have you found? Okay, so you're paying per member. Yeah, it gets expensive when it's 20 to 30 users.
It does.
Yeah,
it is what it is. Yeah, totally. And I use the voice in Slack as well, definitely from time to time. I find that if I want, so the thing is, you want to open the app. So in the Simplero app, there's going to be, you open it and there's just a plus button at the bottom that lets you immediately start recording the thing without having decided where it's going to go yet.
Oh, really?
Because that's what I always find. Like you open the app and then you're like, oh, I have to click on the DM and the find the person, and then oh, there's like 4 messages you wrote me, and now I have to. Did I read them or I didn't read them because I want? And I was like, what was I wanted to say again? I forget. Right. So I want to eliminate any distractions to capturing what it is you want to say, and then we can figure out where it needs to go after.
Okay, awesome. That's great. Yeah, that's probably my biggest headache is just managing all the information at this stage and having a system, and even to be able to shoot documents back and forth as needed too.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know what you did.
Yeah, it's a bummer. And the other thing is in Slack is we're completely adamant about using threads for everything, because when people don't use threads, you lose the context. And it's just like, so just making everybody use threads, and some people need to hear it many times. And I don't like to be in that role of like being the threads police, but somebody's got to do it. And it's, you just need to reinforce it with people. But yeah, yeah, there's no like, and we use Google Docs as well for documents. I find that like every time I have to open one, it's just like it's too slow, it takes too long.
I feel the same way.
Slack has these posts in there that are kind of cool, but then it's a half-baked feature. They never finished it. It's not fully supported.
Yeah. Well, I wondered if you had some idea that I haven't found that I'm missing.
I'm gonna have to build it eventually.
Yeah, please.
That's how I roll, right? I'm like, why haven't anybody else created this damn thing? All right, screw it. I'm gonna have to do it. Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. Yeah, we used Basecamp before. Basecamp is all right, but I like Slack better for what we're doing. Yeah. All right. Cheers. Thanks, Kathleen.
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah, bet. All right, Yvonne, let's hear it.
Hi, can you hear me?
You bet I can.
Lovely, thank you. This is the first time I've joined one of these, so it's really lovely to see real people and to see you, Calvin, too. First of all, before I start, I just wanted to say, Kimberly, I'm a heck of a lot older than you, and I still get terrified. And I think that is actually one of the hardest parts of any type of entrepreneurial role, because it's actually, I will spend whole days with this wall of fear where I can't move forward. And then when I do, wow, it can be so incredibly rewarding. But just hang on in there, and we're all here behind you. Okay, so I just wanted to say that.
That's totally sweet. And it's like between for any kind of growth step that we really want to take, right? Whether it's in the business or personally, there's going to be fear involved. That the fear is what's between us and where we want to go. So the sooner you learn to enjoy that fear and the roller coaster of it, and just like, woo, yeah, it's like, it's fun. The sooner you learn to enjoy that journey, the easier it gets. And
I think,
yeah, and one of my favorite quotes is fear is excitement with the breath held.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Fear and excitement, same damn thing. People go on a roller coaster and they scream and they enjoy it and they pay money for it. Why? Because it triggers fear, but they don't really feel afraid. And so they scream and then it becomes excitement. And if you breathe through the fear, you realize, oh my God, this is just excitement. And I like this thing. Fear is only a problem when you resist it.
Yeah. Now, the question I want to ask, and this might not be, tell me if this isn't the right platform to ask it, but we have basically, our marketing is absolute rubbish. Okay. We have lots of people that love what we're doing, but actually coordinating it all together has just been an absolute nightmare. Now, I started with a WordPress website, which I absolutely loathed. So nearly a year ago, we changed to Wix, but we've been so incredibly busy with other things. None of us have actually mastered Wix. So it's just sitting there, not really being updated. And at the same time, we joined Simplero. Now, we're wondering whether we ought to just knock both WordPress and Wix on the head and do the website entirely in Simplero. Now, what are the pluses and minuses of doing that? And can you also then put your domain name as part of it? Could you, how workable is it?
Yeah, you can totally use your own domain name with the website. That's what I do for my personal website, calvincorelli.com. That's what we do with Simplero.com. It's also on Simplero. So yeah, I just put the damn website on Simplero and have it all in one place. That's the big advantage, right? Is you have everything on one platform, so you don't need these multiple. Yeah. What is your business? What do you do?
I do something very odd. Basically, I run an organisation called New Bold Hope, which is devoted to training parents and professionals who care for children with disabilities and additional needs, who are also significantly violent and have particularly tough, challenging behaviour. It's a much, much bigger problem than anybody actually realises. The reason I do it is that I have a son who has a profound intellectual disability, and he was very violent for 10 years and we couldn't get any help at all. So now I've learned how to train them, and we now know of 2,000 children who are happy and not going anywhere. Like, you know, we've changed the course of their future, which is wonderful.
Yeah. That's amazing. Cool.
So,
yeah, so just move it all over to Simplero, and your life will be easier.
And where will I find the right videos to watch? Are there any sort of training that you should?
Yeah, so that's where, if you like, the training workshops can help you with all that stuff. The live training workshops, was that Ray that talked about those, I think. If you go to the Simplero.com website, in the footer on the left somewhere, there's a link to workshops.
Right.
If you go to help.simplero.com, there's a bunch of videos, guides there that can show you. But basically, just, in the menu, you go marketing, and then I think it's called main website, and that's where you have it. You start building it out, edit the pages, build it out there. And you know what? The thing about websites is keep it super duper simple, right? The purpose of your website is to have a place that can quickly tell people, am I in the right place or not? Right? Is this for me? And then if it is for me, you want to get their email. That's it, right? People overthink websites. They think that the website needs to show their brother or sister or mom what they do, or they it needs to show all their entire history and all their products and all the things, and have 1,000 pages, all that stuff. No, it just needs to let people know if they're in the right place, and then get their damn email.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you have their email, you can reach out to them, you can be in contact with them. And if you don't, then you have no way of getting them back, right? They visit it, now they're gone.
So that's really helpful, actually. You've sort of, it's so confusing when you're doing all of this, and you've just sort of got right to the nub of it. Thanks, Calvin. It was really helpful. Thank you.
My pleasure. All right, thanks, Yvonne.
Thank you.
All right, Anne, what's up?
Well, mine is a high-level Simplero question, because I'm a super fan, as everybody knows. I love Simplero so much, especially if you've been on other platforms and then you come here, you just realize this is the shizzle here at Simplero. So with all of that, I always feel like I'm underutilizing its power, and there's so much to it. So here's my entrepreneurial question. Knowing everything that Simplero does, because there's still so many things on my wish list I want to incorporate with Simplero, and knowing what it does, from an entrepreneurial standpoint and what you do with your business, what would you say out of its features, out of its capacities, other than the basic given, there's the website, there's the courses, what would you say is in absolutely, this is something I would have to have and it is a must and would help every entrepreneur make using Simplero in their business easier?
It's a great question. So if you're not already doing order bumps and upsells, that's an easy, obvious one, right? If you have people coming in every day, every week to buy from you, and you're not offering them something else while they're already hot and buying, that's like a slam dunk easy one.
Okay.
So start there. And then the other big piece is the whole automations engine and everything that you can do with that is like, it's like giving you a superpower tool.
Yes.
And you can totally like mess yourself up every which way and
Yes.
make it very complicated for yourself. But if you use it very intentionally and strategically, you can do some really powerful stuff. I would say the approach to it is to be very clear and do a couple things, like 1 or 2 things at a time, and see how they're working and how, you know, is it doing what you want it to do, but be very clear on what you're trying to achieve.
So, okay, with that, I totally agree. So I've used the more automations on the back end of it. Once I have a sale and I'm doing the core stuff, and I have a very basic funnels on more the front end, which I know I'm underutilizing. So if you were to say on using the funnels with your email list or whatever very smart marketing funnel kind of ideas, strategically, simply, what would you say then?
So I would say, again, it's about, you know, so when someone's bought your course, your product, and now they're in here, you can advertise to them, hey, like this thing is also available. And you can set it up so they only see it if they haven't bought it yet, right? So consider this thing. So it's another kind of cross-sell kind of situation, right? So you can make more sales.
Okay, like micro niching, yeah, like kind of, within your own ecosystem of people.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Right. And you can do things like, you know, when people get on your list, you can cycle through, okay, let me do a campaign for this offer this week, and then another offer the next week, or it can be this month, next month, etc. So things of that nature where you can customize the journey, but then if they already bought this thing, we're not going to promote that, obviously, that we're just going to skip to the next week and cycle through in that fashion. You know, yeah, you can customize your journey in that kind of way.
So do you keep those simple? Because then again, that's something that it can be so daunting.
Yeah. So you just want to make sure that you structurally keep it simple, right? So I have 4 promos. You do 1 automation per promo, and then you're just like, okay, great. When we're done with this one, you know, start the next one the following Monday or whatever. And the next one says, you know what, like, I don't, you know, if you've already bought this one, just bump on to the next one. So you have 4 that can kind of chain together, but you want to think structurally about that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then naming everything clearly, so you can remember what the hell it is, like that kind of stuff, right? Because you come back months later and you're like, what was I thinking? What was this about? I don't know. So
I know, yeah, Concierge like set me on the right path with that, because it's true.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
okay, cool. Thank you.
You bet. My pleasure. Yeah. And Rolanda is asking, can customers use the Simplero app to access our courses and services? Yes, exactly. They can access your content on the app. What are some of your guys's, just talking to everybody right now, what are you guys doing for lead generation, getting content out there to bring more people into your universe, into your funnels? Let me hear in the chat, like, what is your top lead generation strategy? Are you doing paid ads? Are you doing search engine SEO stuff? Are you doing content, posting content to social media? What is the main source that you have for generating leads for your business? Post in the chat. I want to see from everybody. Kathleen, Instagram, and podcast interviews. Yeah, that's a good source. As always, when you can get in front of other people's audiences. Heather says LinkedIn, free intro courses, SEO, social media, free PDFs, tiny offers, podcast, content creation, speaking, Facebook. Cool. Yeah. Facebook posts, a lot of free content. How are you finding that? Like, what kind of traction are you getting from organic on social media these days? What platforms are working for you? What type of content is working for you? And anybody who is seeing success posting organic content on social media, if you want to jump in here and share, I'd love to hear from you. I'm hearing people saying, Heather says she hates Facebook. Kelly saying Instagram is tanking. Heather did 30 days of TikTok and impressed the LinkedIn crowd. Cool. Raise your hand if you have success with organic social media sharing and want to share about that. Instagram, high-level teaching, premium teaching without fear, giving away my best. I guess that she's using Facebook, would like to use TikTok. Cool. Yeah, so we're doing Facebook content, obviously, and or not Facebook, so social media content, and we're taking this show and then chopping it up into bits that we're going to share on social media, both organic, free, as well as paid spend behind it. And we don't have good data. We're still early days in that game. We don't have good data on what kind of distribution we're seeing from the organic. But one of the things I'm thinking about is like what is the kind of content that does do well organic, and it's going to depend on the platform. So, but yeah, Anne, let me hear what you have to say.
Well, I mean, I'll just say what I built my entire list this way is where I'll take a post that people I naturally see that they're sharing, and then I boost it.
And what platform is this?
Facebook.
Facebook, yeah, because Facebook has the thing where you can share, right? You can click share.
Yes,
so phenomenal.
And so what I noticed is, but I began to notice it's really a matter of numbers. So I'd look at the insights, how many people has it reached? What's the percentage of it being shared? So I sort of found like basically an algorithm, and it's consistent every single time. Like when I find that, it's like it no matter if I boost it way bigger, it's the same percentage. So it just gets more viral shares organically.
The same percentage of shares to views or engagements.
Yes, when it starts out and it's doing it organically,
right?
Then I'll boost it. Not a lot, but I mean, I've done this for like 9 years now. And even when I went through Facebook's training on it, they're like, well, you're getting better numbers than what we could even teach people. And it was sort of the opposite. But I think people underutilize boosting posts, like just taking it and saying that share with their, and I don't even pick an audience. Sometimes I do. I'll pick an audience that I know would resonate with what is my ideal audience I'm looking for, or I'll do share to their family and friends or whatever, because they're going to have more like-minded people on their list.
Right.
On their friends list.
Totally. Right. That's genius. Have you seen a change in organic reach on Facebook lately?
Yeah, it doesn't have, well, I mean, I've kind of rid through the whole thing where you had to then boost it. I didn't previously have to boost it, but boosting it.
The reason I'm asking is because I've been hearing from Gary Vaynerchuk that organic on social on Facebook is actually back.
Yeah.
That he's starting to see organic traction where before he didn't.
Well, I would say for me, and that's when everybody's talked about all these moving algorithms, it hasn't been a big issue for me because I've always followed where the organic is.
Right.
And then I've just boosted that.
Sure.
So it just kind of keeps moving organically.
Yeah,
so I haven't really, like, it hasn't fluctuated a lot for me through the years in building my list, but I've built my list doing that. And it's not small numbers, so.
That's fantastic. Yeah. The other thing that I want to try that we haven't, we were just talking about that earlier today, Bryce and myself, is, you take the same organic, video clip, and then you post it with like 5 different captions or 5 different copy to go along with it. and then you run those as ads to find out which version of that performs better, and that's the one that you post organically. But now you've pre-validated.
Oh yeah, so it's sort of in that same line. There's a lot of power in posting to the people who follow your page and their friends, because when they see that, it already validates you. Like, oh, this person has liked this. So I just think boosting post is so underutilized. I tell this to people because it's because when your people are responding to it or something, it's taking it and moving it more.
Yeah. All right. Super cool. Thank you so much. This is helpful. I saw someone else have their hand up, but it's gone. There we go. Katrina. All right, let's do it. Let's hear what you got, Katrina.
Yeah, okay. It's just add on to what you were asking, to confirm about this organic thing. One of a person in my network, she used to do ads for other people, had an ad agency, marketing agency. And since, well, for almost a year, she hasn't done any paid marketing whatsoever on her own, and she deleted a group and a page, Facebook page with 12,000 followers, and started all over and no ads, and she has and millions this year, only organic.
That's fantastic.
So it is working.
Yeah.
So it was just to confirm that.
Right.
And some other people that I talked to recently about this is also that they would never start doing ads before seeing a post getting organic interaction. Then they would start doing ads, not before.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, unless you're running the ad specifically to test out something.
Of course.
And that's, it's a different situation. That's cool. All right, thank you, Kathleen. I appreciate that. Tom, let's hear it. What's up, Tom?
Hey, Calvin. Sorry, I'm having video issues, so apologize for that.
Don't we all?
Hey, good to be here. I have a question on a little bit different angle, if that's all right.
Sure.
And I already know this first thing can be problematic in and of itself, but I'm going to go with it. I've got 3 different enterprises I'm working with. Okay. And so right now, one of the problems of that, of course, is the 3 enterprises, but that's its own thing. But right now I'm doing them on different places.
What are you going to do? An entrepreneur is going to be creative and like entrepreneuring things, right?
Exactly.
That's how it works.
I appreciate it. And it works, but it can work better for sure. And so, one of the issues right now is I'm doing each one on different platforms for different reasons, and I won't go into that. So I guess the obvious question is, if I was to bring them all onto Simplero, what would I do? Is it three different accounts? How would that work?
Yeah, if they're different legal entities, I would 100% put them on different accounts.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense just from the legal entity, right? Just they're separated, like anything else, like bank accounts.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have started lots of people who do that. They're running multiple businesses, sometimes with different partners, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I have that too, right? I have the workouts BVA.fit. That's its own separate Simplero account to sell Pathfind the other workouts, and got an account for Body Meal. We got an account for Simplero. We got an account for my personal brand. So that's how you do it.
And so with that, so there wouldn't be a single dashboard. Then you just literally just go in separately, which is totally fine. And there's different people going to be doing it. So, okay, cool. Simple enough. Awesome. Thank you.
You bet. That was your question?
That was it. I'm sure I have lots more, but I can't. They're not coming to the surface right now.
Cool, man. All right. Thank you, Tom. Thanks to everybody. That's it for today. I'll see you guys in 6 days and 23 hours. This is super fun. We're going to keep doing that. I will be in Copenhagen next week, but we will still do this on Thursday, and I'm really excited for it. So yeah, it's a joy to see you all. I'll see you guys next week. Be well.